Get out. Now. This isn't the project. You can't just walk in here with your welfare baby expecting a handout. Madison Pierce blocked the entrance. Her designer heels clicked on marble. Look at you. Probably can't even afford our appetizers. Did you wander in looking for the food bank? Simone Harper shifted baby Zoe gently. Her voice stayed calm. I have a reservation. Under Dr. Harper. 7:30. Dr. Harper? Madison laughed. Cold, mocking. Right. And I'm the Queen of England. You people always lie. Always trying to scam your way into places you don't belong. I can show you my confirmation. Simone reached for her phone. Madison's hand shot out. She slapped Simone hard across the face. The crack echoed through the restaurant. Simone's head jerked sideways. Zoe screamed, "Don't you dare reach for anything!" Madison's eyes blazed with hate. Touch my podium again and I'll have you arrested. Your kind always ends up in handcuffs anyway. Wealthy diners stared. Diners. Some pulled out phones. Nobody moved. Have you ever watched injustice happen and done nothing? 8 hours earlier, sunlight streamed through the windows of Simone's townhouse. The smell of fresh coffee filled the kitchen. Zoe babbled in her high chair, tiny fists grabbing at air. Simone packed the diaper bag methodically. Wipes, diapers, extra clothes, bottle, pacifier. Her hands moved with the precision she used in the operating room. On the wall behind her hung framed photographs. Medical school graduation, a surgical team in scrubs, all smiling. An award, youngest chief of pediatric surgery, Metropolitan General Hospital. And one more. A wedding photo. Simone in white. Daniel in a sharp suit. Both laughing. Both alive. That was before the car accident. Before she became a widow at 33. Before she learned to raise Zoe alone. Her phone buzzed. The hospital administrator. Dr. Harper, just confirming Monday's board meeting. The budget proposal looks excellent. Thank you, Margaret. I'll be there. She hung up and looked at the reservation confirmation on her screen. La Belle Étoile. 7:30. Table for 2. 1 adult, 1 infant. Daniel had proposed there 5 years ago. Right at table 12, overlooking the garden. Every anniversary since, they'd returned. Ordered the same wine. Shared the same dessert. This would be her first time going alone. With Zoe. Honoring his memory. She didn't know it would become a nightmare. La Belle Étoile sat in the wealthiest district downtown. Valet parking. A doorman in a tailcoat. Crystal windows that glowed like jewels after dark. Inside, white tablecloths stretched across 40 tables. Each place setting cost more than some people's rent. The menu had no prices. If you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. The restaurant belonged to Elysian Dining Collective, a corporation that owned 127 high-end establishments nationwide. The CEO, Jonathan Wright, rarely visited, but everyone knew the name. Everyone feared disappointing him. Madison Pierce had worked the Hostess podium for 3 years. She treated it like a throne. Her father owned half the real estate in the county. Her mother sat on charity boards and country club committees. Madison didn't need the job. She wanted it. For the power. For the access to wealth. For the chance to decide who belonged and who didn't. She'd turned away customers before. Always people of color. Always with excuses. We're fully booked. Your reservation was canceled. There must be a mistake in our system. The kitchen staff whispered about it. Servers complained quietly. But nothing changed. Madison's family had connections. Her father played golf with the regional manager. So she stayed. And she got worse. Derek Carter managed the floor. 45 years old. 20 years in the restaurant industry. He'd worked his way up from busboy to manager. He knew Madison's behavior was wrong, but he never stopped, never reported it, never intervened. He had a mortgage, 2 kids in college. He couldn't afford to lose this job. So he looked away, stayed silent, became complicit. That evening, as the dinner rush began, Madison checked her reflection in the podium's glass surface. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect smile for the right people. She saw the reservation list. 7:30, Dr. S. Harper, party of 2. She assumed a man, probably a surgeon, probably white, definitely wealthy. She had no idea. At 6:45, Simone pulled into the valet circle. Zoe was awake, alert, dressed in a tiny pink dress. Simone wore simple elegance, a black dress, pearl earrings, minimal makeup. She looked beautiful, professional, respectable. None of it would matter. The valet, a young Latino man named Carlos, smiled warmly. "Good evening, ma'am. Enjoy your dinner." "Thank you." Simone handed him the keys. She lifted Zoe from the car seat, adjusted the baby against her hip, took a deep breath. Daniel's voice echoed in her memory. "Best French food in the city, Simone. You're going to love it." She'd loved it. Every year, every anniversary, the roasted duck, the chocolate soufflé, the view of the garden lit by fairy lights. Tonight, she'd love it for both of them. She walked toward the entrance. The doorman opened the heavy glass door. Classical music drifted out. Warm air, expensive perfume, the gentle clink of silverware in china. Madison looked up from her podium. Their eyes met. And everything Simone had planned, everything she'd hoped for, began to crumble. Simone walked to the podium. Zoe cooed softly against her shoulder. The restaurant hummed with quiet conversation. Forks scraped plates. Wine glasses clinked. Madison's eyes narrowed. She looked Simone up and down like she was examining garbage. "Can I help you?" The words came out sharp. No warmth, no welcome. "Good evening. I have a reservation for 7:30. Dr. Simone Harper." Madison didn't even glance at the computer screen. "We don't have any reservation under that name." Simone pulled out her phone. Her fingers moved smoothly across the screen. "Here's my confirmation email. I made the reservation 3 weeks ago. Table for 2. Madison barely looked. "That must be a mistake. We're completely booked tonight. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the diner down the street. I hear they have high chairs." She smiled. Cold. Cruel. "This isn't a mistake. I have a confirmed reservation." Simone kept her voice level, professional. "Could you please check your system?" "I don't need to check anything." Madison crossed her arms. "Look around. Do you see anyone here who looks like you? There's a reason for that. Standards." A couple at a nearby table glanced over. The woman whispered something. The man pulled out his phone. Simone felt heat rise in her chest, but she wouldn't give Madison the satisfaction. "I'd like to speak with your manager, please." "Oh, you want to speak to the manager?" Madison laughed, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Let me guess. You're going to claim discrimination? Play the race card? How original." Derek Carter appeared from the dining room. He'd heard the commotion. His face showed discomfort, but not intervention. "Is everything all right here, Madison?" "Just explaining our policies to this woman. No reservation, no table." Madison's voice was sugar-sweet now, performing for her boss. Derek looked at Simone, at baby Zoe. Something flickered in his eyes. Maybe guilt. Maybe recognition that this was wrong. But he said nothing. Simone turned to him. "Sir, I have a confirmed reservation. I can show you the email, the confirmation number. My credit card was charged a deposit." Derek hesitated. "Madison, maybe we should just check the—" "I already checked." Madison cut him off. "There's nothing. And frankly, Derek, we have standards to maintain. Our clientele expects a certain atmosphere, a certain type of guest." She emphasized the last 3 words. The meaning was clear. The racism was clear. Derek's jaw tightened, but he stepped back. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. Coward. That's what his silence said. Complicit, coward. Simone reached toward the reservation book on the podium. Let me just show you. Madison's hand flew up. She slapped Simone's hand away from the book. Hard. The sound cracked through the restaurant. Don't you dare touch our property! Madison's voice rose. This is private property. You're trespassing. Simone stumbled back. Zoe startled in her arms and began to cry. The baby's wails filled the elegant space. Several diners stood up. An elderly white couple near the window looked horrified. The man said something to his wife. She nodded and raised her phone. Recording. Madison stepped closer, aggressive, invading Simone's space. You need to leave. Right now, before this gets worse for you. Simone adjusted Zoe, bouncing her gently, trying to calm her daughter while her own heart pounded. I'm not leaving. I have every right to be here. Rights? Madison's laugh was vicious. You people always talk about rights. You don't have the right to be here. This is a private establishment. We choose our guests, and we don't choose people who show up in cheap dresses with screaming babies trying to pretend they belong. My dress cost $400. Simone's voice stayed calm, deadly calm. My reservation is legitimate, and my daughter is crying because you just assaulted me. Assaulted? Madison's eyes went wide with fake shock. Everyone here saw you try to grab my reservation book. I was defending restaurant property. Derek, you saw it, right? Derek looked at the floor, said nothing. See? Madison smiled triumphantly. Now leave before I call the police. Call them. Simone's voice was steel. Please, call them. Let's get this on record. Madison's smile faltered for a second. Then she pulled out her phone. Fine, have it your way. She dialed, put the phone to her ear, waited. Yes, I need police at La Belle Étoile restaurant on Madison Avenue. Her voice changed, became breathless, afraid. There's a woman here causing a disturbance. She tried to assault me. She's refusing to leave. She has a baby with her, and I'm worried about the child's safety. Simone's stomach dropped. The lie was blatant, obvious, but Madison delivered it perfectly. She's becoming more aggressive. Madison's voice trembled now. Acting. I don't know if she's on drugs or what, but please hurry. I'm scared, yes. She's black, about 5'6". Black dress. Yes, a baby, maybe 6 months old. I don't know if it's even hers. Please send someone quickly. She hung up, looked at Simone with satisfaction. They'll be here in 5 minutes. And we all know how this ends, don't we? Resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, child endangerment. Each phrase landed like a blow. Your baby will be in foster care by midnight. Zoe screamed louder. Simone held her close, whispering soft words. It's okay, baby. Mama's here. It's okay. The elderly couple approached. The woman spoke first, her voice firm. Excuse me, but I saw everything. This young woman did nothing wrong. You struck her first. Madison turned on her. Ma'am, I appreciate your concern, but you must be mistaken. Please return to your table. I know what I saw. The woman's husband nodded. We both saw it. That was assault. And your phone call was full of lies. Sir, with all due respect, you should mind your own business. Madison's voice turned icy. Unless you want to be asked to leave as well. The couple exchanged glances, but they didn't back down. The woman kept her phone up, recording. More diners were recording now, at least 6 phones pointed at the scene. Madison noticed. Her confidence wavered slightly, but she pushed forward. All of you need to put your phones away. Recording in this restaurant is prohibited. It's posted on the door. Nobody lowered their phones. A young white woman in the corner stood up. I'm a lawyer. What you're doing is illegal discrimination. Multiple witnesses will testify to that. Madison's face flushed red. Derek, get these people under control. Derek raised his hands helplessly. Everyone, please, let's just calm down and calm down. The elderly woman's voice rose. That hostess just assaulted a customer and filed a false police report. You're the manager and you're doing nothing. Derek's face went pale. He looked at Simone, at Madison, at the growing crowd of witnesses. And still, he did nothing. Kitchen staff appeared in the doorway to the dining room. 2 Latino cooks, a black dishwasher, an Asian prep chef. They watched with knowing eyes. They'd seen this before. Maybe not this extreme, but they'd seen Madison's racism, felt it themselves. One of the cooks pulled out his phone, started recording. Madison saw it. All kitchen staff back to your stations, now! They didn't move. Outside, red and blue lights flashed through the windows. A police cruiser pulled up, then another. Madison's smile returned. Triumphant. Cruel. Here we go. Now we'll see who belongs and who doesn't. She looked directly at Simone. You should have left when I told you to. Now you're going to jail. And that baby? She's going straight to Child Protective Services. Simone stood perfectly still. Zoe had quieted slightly, sensing her mother's tension. Simone's mind raced. She could leave. Should leave. Protect Zoe from whatever was about to happen. But if she left, Madison won. Madison would do this to someone else. Someone without resources. Someone without witnesses. Someone without a voice. No. This ended here. Tonight. The restaurant door opened. 2 officers walked in. 1 white, 1 Latino. Their hands rested near their belts, near their weapons. Madison rushed toward them. Officers, thank God you're here. That woman, she pointed at Simone. She attacked me. She tried to force her way into the restaurant. When I asked her to leave, she became violent. I'm afraid for my safety. The white officer looked at Simone. His face hardened immediately. His hand moved to his gun. Everything was about to get so much worse. Officer Jennings stepped forward. 42 years old, crew cut, cold blue eyes that had already decided Simone was guilty. Officer Martinez hung back, younger, uncomfortable. His eyes moved from Simone to the crowd of witnesses. Ma'am, I need you to step outside, now. Jennings's hand stayed near his weapon. His voice carried the weight of assumed authority. Simone adjusted Zoe carefully. Officer, I'm the victim here. This woman assaulted me. I have witnesses. I have a confirmed reservation that she's refusing to honor because I said outside. Jennings cut her off. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Your choice. Madison stayed behind Jennings like he was a shield. Her eyes glistened with fake tears. She grabbed me, officer. Right here. She touched her wrist. I was so scared. And the baby was crying so loud I think something might be wrong with it. Her name is Zoe. Simone's voice stayed level. And she's crying because your hostess slapped me in front of her. That's a lie. Madison's voice broke. Perfect performance. I never touched her. She's making this up because I wouldn't give her a table without a reservation. Then she became violent. The elderly couple pushed forward. Officer, that's not true. We saw the whole thing. The hostess struck her first, then made a false police report. Jennings barely glanced at them. Sir, ma'am, please step back. Let me handle this. But we're witnesses, the woman insisted. Step back or I'll cite you for interfering with police business. Jennings' voice went hard. The couple hesitated, then stepped back. But the woman kept her phone up, recording everything. Jennings turned back to Simone. Outside. Last warning. Simone looked at Martinez. The younger officer's face showed conflict, but he said nothing. She walked toward the door. Zoe whimpered against her shoulder. Simone whispered, "It's okay, sweet girl. Mama's got you." Outside, the evening air felt cold. The valet area was bright with streetlights. Expensive cars lined the curb. A small crowd had gathered. More phones came out. Someone was live streaming. Jennings followed close behind. Too close, invading her space. "Put the baby down." "What?" Simone turned. "Why would I—" "Put it down. Now. I need to talk to you, and I need your hands visible." "She's 6 months old. I'm not putting my baby on the ground." Simone's voice rose for the first time. "That's insane. It's a safety issue, ma'am." Jennings stepped closer. "You could be hiding a weapon. You could use that baby as cover. Put it down or I'll take it from you." Fear shot through Simone's chest. Real fear. "You can't take my daughter." "I can and I will if you don't comply." Jennings' hand moved to his belt. "Final warning." Martinez spoke up. "Jennings, come on, man. She's got a baby. Just talk to her." "I've got this, Martinez." Jennings didn't take his eyes off Simone. "You want to question my judgment? You want to write the report explaining why you let a suspect maintain control of a potential hostage?" "Hostage?" Simone's voice cracked. "She's my daughter. I have her birth certificate in my bag, her medical records, pictures on my phone. Let me see that bag." Jennings grabbed it. Simone turned her body, protecting Zoe. "You need probable cause to search me. What crime do you think I committed?" "Trespassing on private property. Assault. Resisting police orders. That's 3 crimes." Jennings' face flushed red. "Now give me the bag or we're taking you in. And Child Protective Services takes the baby." The crowd gasped. Someone shouted, "This is wrong!" Jennings spun toward them. "Everyone back up. This is police business. Anyone who interferes will be arrested." The young lawyer from inside stepped forward. "Officer, I'm an attorney. You cannot search her without probable cause. You cannot separate her from her child without evidence of abuse or neglect. What you're doing is illegal. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you one time to step back." Jennings's hand moved to his handcuffs. "Don't make me ask twice." The lawyer stood her ground. "I'm not interfering. I'm observing. That's my legal right. And I'm recording every word for the civil rights lawsuit this woman is going to file." Jennings's jaw clenched, but he turned back to Simone. "The bag. Now. Or your daughter goes to CPS tonight. You'll be lucky to see her again by Christmas." Simone's hands trembled. Zoe was crying hard now, sensing her mother's fear. Every instinct screamed at Simone to run, to protect her baby, to get away from this man who had a gun and a badge and hate in his eyes. But running would make it worse. Running always made it worse. "Fine," her voice barely whispered. "Fine. Just please don't take my baby." She handed him the diaper bag with her free hand. Jennings grabbed it, unzipped it roughly, dumped the contents onto the sidewalk. Diapers tumbled out. Wipes. A bottle. Baby clothes. Pacifiers. Simone's wallet. Her phone. Her keys. Her hospital ID badge clattered across the concrete. Jennings picked it up. Studied it. Metropolitan General Hospital. Dr. Simone Harper, Chief of Pediatric Surgery. He read it aloud, voice dripping with mockery. "Right. You steal this from someone? That's my ID. I am Dr. Harper." "Sure you are." Jennings tossed it back onto the pile. "And I'm the Surgeon General. You know how many fake IDs I see every week?" "Call the hospital!" Simone's composure cracked. "Call them right now. They'll confirm who I am." "I'm not calling anyone based on a fake badge." Jennings kicked through the pile of baby supplies. "Where are the drugs, the stolen credit cards? What else you got in here?" "There's nothing." Simone's voice rose. "This is harassment. This is racial profiling." Oh, here we go. Jennings stood up, stepped close. Playing the race card. You people always do. Can't take responsibility for your own actions, so you blame racism. Martinez shifted uncomfortably. Jennings, maybe we should just… Martinez, I swear to God, if you second-guess me one more time… Jennings whirled on him. You write the report, then. You explain to the sergeant why you let a trespassing suspect walk. Martinez went quiet. The elderly couple pushed forward again. Officer, we have video of everything that happened inside. The hostess assaulted her. We can show you right now. Jennings ignored them. He pulled out his own phone, took a picture of Simone's scattered belongings on the sidewalk, then a picture of Simone holding Zoe. For the report, he said, making it sound official, making it sound justified. But Simone saw it for what it was: humiliation, documentation of her degradation, evidence for a false narrative he was already constructing. Pick up your things. Jennings gestured at the mess. Slowly. One hand. Keep the other one where I can see it. I'm holding my daughter. Simone's control was slipping. How am I supposed to pick things up with one hand while holding a baby? Figure it out. Jennings crossed his arms. Or leave it. Your choice. Simone knelt awkwardly. Zoe wailed against her chest. She tried to scoop diapers back into the bag with one hand. It was impossible. Items fell, rolled away. A woman from the crowd rushed forward. Let me help you. Stay back, Jennings barked. Do not touch anything. That's evidence. Evidence of what? The woman's voice shook with anger. Evidence that she's a mother with a baby? More people crowded closer. The valet, Carlos, stepped forward. I saw her arrive. She was calm, respectful. She did nothing wrong. Everyone needs to disperse. Jennings's hand moved to his radio. I'm calling for backup if this crowd doesn't clear out right now. But they didn't move. The phones kept recording. The live stream counter climbed. Hundreds of viewers, then thousands. Someone shouted, This is 2024. We see you. The whole world sees you. Jennings's face went darker, angrier. You're all interfering with an active police investigation. I can arrest every single one of you. For what? The young lawyer's voice cut through. For witnessing your illegal search? For documenting your civil rights violations? Go ahead, officer. Arrest us all. Let's see how that plays in court. Jennings looked around. On the phones. At the crowd. At the growing number of witnesses who wouldn't be silent or scared. He was losing control. And men like Jennings hated losing control. He turned back to Simone. She was still on her knees, trying to gather her things. Zoe screams, her dignity scattered across cold concrete alongside diapers and baby wipes. Stand up! Jennings grabbed her arm, yanked her upward. Simone stumbled, nearly dropped Zoe. Don't touch me! You're under arrest for resisting police orders, trespassing, and assault. Jennings pulled out handcuffs. Put the baby down. Now. No! Simone's voice broke. Please, you can't do this. I haven't done anything. Martinez finally stepped forward. Jennings, man, this is too much. She hasn't resisted. She's been compliant. Just let her go. She's resisting right now, Jennings pointed at Simone. She won't put the baby down. That's resisting. Because you're trying to separate a mother from her infant for no legal reason. Martinez's voice rose. This is wrong and you know it. The two officers faced each other. Tension crackled between them. The crowd held its breath. Simone clutched Zoe tight. Her mind raced. She needed help. Real help. Someone with power. Someone these men would actually listen to. She had one phone call. One person who might change everything. She just had to get to her phone. It lay on the ground 3 feet away, mixed in with diapers and baby clothes, her lifeline scattered like trash. Officer Jennings. Simone's voice came out steady, calm, despite the fear coursing through her. I need to make a phone call. That's my legal right. Whether I'm detained or arrested, I have the right to one call. You're not under arrest yet. Jennings smiled. Cold. So no, you don't get a call. Then let me go. Not until we sort this out. Then I am being detained, which means I have rights. Simone stood straighter. I'm going to pick up my phone and make one call. If you try to stop me, every camera here records you violating my constitutional rights. Jennings hesitated. The phones, the witnesses, the lawyer taking notes. Martinez watching him with judgment in his eyes. Fine. He spat the word. One call. Make it quick. And put that baby down first. No. Simone bent down, grabbed her phone, kept Zoe secure against her chest. I'm making my call. You can either wait or arrest me. But either way, the whole world is watching. She unlocked her phone with shaking fingers and dialed the one number that would change everything. The phone rang twice. A man answered. Dr. Harper, I was just about to call you about Monday's board meeting. Jonathan listened carefully. Simone's voice cut through. I'm outside La Belle Étoile, your restaurant. Your hostess physically assaulted me, refused my reservation, called the police with false accusations, and right now this officer is threatening to take my daughter into custody. Silence. Then Jonathan Wright's voice changed completely. Madison Pierce, the hostess? Where's Derek? Your manager watched it happen. Did nothing. Put the officer on. Now. Simone held out her phone to Jennings. The CEO of Elysian Dining Collective wants to speak with you. Jennings grabbed it roughly. This is Officer Jennings. We're responding to a trespassing complaint. The situation is under control. Jonathan's voice exploded through the speaker, loud enough for the whole crowd to hear. Under control. You're detaining Dr. Simone Harper, board member of Metropolitan General Hospital? The surgeon who saved my grandson's life last year? Jennings went pale. Sir, You didn't ask. You saw a black woman and assumed criminal. Jonathan's rage was palpable. You threatened to take her child. Do you understand what you've done? Martinez stepped closer, recognition dawning on his face. Dr. Harper? From the Metropolitan General? Jennings? She's the chief of pediatric surgery. I can see the videos already. Jonathan's voice went cold. They're trending. Millions of views. I watched Madison strike her. I watched your illegal search. Every second is documented. The crowd erupted. Phones everywhere. The live stream counter exploded. Inside the restaurant window, Madison's face showed confusion, then terror. Something had gone very wrong. Derek stood frozen beside her, hand over his mouth. Jonathan continued. Dr. Harper performed a 14-hour surgery on my grandson. Inoperable tumor. She saved his life. She gave my daughter her son back. He paused. And tonight, your hostess called her trash. You scattered her baby's belongings like garbage. Jennings tried to speak. His hand trembled. There's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, just racism, just abuse of power. Jonathan's voice cracked. Put Dr. Harper back on. Jennings held out the phone like it was burning him. Simone took it calmly. I'm here. Simone, I'm so deeply sorry. Madison Pierce is fired. Immediately. Derek is suspended without pay. I'm 8 minutes away. Applause erupted from the crowd. Madison burst through the restaurant door. Wait, Mr. Wright. I didn't know who she was. If I had known... Simone turned to face her. Met her eyes directly. That's exactly the problem. 4 words. Devastating. Madison's mouth opened, closed. No sound. The elderly couple stepped forward. We recorded everything. The slap. Every insult. The valet spoke up. I've seen her refuse service to black customers before. Multiple times. A kitchen worker emerged. She called me a wetback last month. I reported it. Nothing happened. Another voice. She told me to go back to China. I was born here. The stories flooded out. Months of racism, years of discrimination, all documented now, all on camera, all undeniable. Derek backed away. I didn't know it was this extensive. You knew enough. The young lawyer pointed at him. You're the manager. You did nothing. That's complicity. Martinez turned to Jennings. We need to file an honest report about what actually happened. Jennings looked around wildly. On the phones, the witnesses. His career dissolved. I was following procedure. You threatened to take her baby. That's not procedure. That's abuse of power. A black SUV pulled up. Expensive. Executive plates. Jonathan Wright stepped out. 58. Silver hair, tailored suit. His face flushed with anger. He walked straight to Simone. Dr. Harper, I'm profoundly sorry. She stood there, still holding Zoe, still surrounded by scattered baby supplies. Words are easy, Jonathan. What happens next? He turned to face Madison. Derek. The cameras. The world is watching. What happens next is accountability. Real consequences. He pulled out his phone. Security is on the way. Madison, you're terminated. Effective immediately. Derek, you're suspended pending investigation. Both of you will be escorted from the premises. Madison's voice rose, desperate. Please. My father knows the regional manager. I've worked here for 3 years. Your connections won't save you. Jonathan's voice was ice. You assaulted a customer. You committed racial discrimination. You filed a false police report. You're done. He turned to the crowd, to the cameras. Elysian Dining Collective condemns racism in all forms. This behavior does not represent our values. We will conduct a full investigation across all our locations. Changes start tonight. Simone spoke quietly. I don't want just words, Jonathan. I want systemic change. You'll have it. You have my word. He looked at her. And you have my personal guarantee that this never happens again. 2 security officers arrived, approached Madison and Derek. Madison tried one last time, turned to Simone, tears streaming. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, please, I was just doing my job. Simone said nothing, just held her daughter, her dignity intact. Her power is undeniable. Security escorted Madison toward the exit. She was crying, makeup running, career destroyed. Derek followed, head down, silent, ashamed. The crowd watched them go. Justice playing out in real time. The tables had completely turned. Security guards flanked Madison, one on each side. She twisted away from their grip, mascara streaking down her face. Please, Mr. Wright, my father will call you. He's friends with the board. We can fix this. Jonathan didn't even look at her. Your father's connections mean nothing. You committed assault, racial discrimination, false police report. You're terminated. Security will escort you out. But I've worked here for 3 years, Madison's voice cracked, desperate now. I know all the regulars. I bring in wealthy clients. You can't just... You're trespassing now. Jonathan's voice was flat. Leave voluntarily or I'll have you arrested. Madison turned to the crowd, to the witnesses. You don't understand. She tried to grab the book. I was protecting restaurant property. I was doing my job. The elderly woman stepped forward. We all saw you slap her first. We saw everything. Your lies won't work. I wasn't lying. Madison's eyes were wild. Panicked. She doesn't belong here. Look at her. This is a 5-star restaurant. We have standards. The words hung in the air. Damning. Undeniable. Caught on 7 different cameras. Jonathan's jaw clenched. Get her out. Now! Security pulled Madison toward the exit. She fought, screamed. This is unfair. I didn't know who she was. If someone had told me she was important, everyone is important. Simone's voice cut through the chaos. Quiet, powerful. That's what you'll never understand. Madison's face contorted with rage. You think you've won? Do you think this changes anything? There are 1,000 restaurants in this city. I'll work somewhere better, somewhere that appreciates. No restaurant will hire you. The young lawyer held up her phone. This video has 2 million views already. Your name is trending. Your face is everywhere. Your career is over. Madison's legs seemed to give out. Security had to hold her up. No, this can't be happening. This isn't fair. Fair? The kitchen worker who'd been called a slur stepped forward. You want to talk about fair? After what you've done to us? To her? To everyone you looked down on? Other staff members emerged. The dishwasher, the prep chef, a server who'd stayed quiet for years. She made me cry in the bathroom every week, the server said. Called me stupid. Said I was lucky to have a job. She threw food at me once, the prep chef added. Said Asians should stick to takeout. The stories came fast, each one a nail in Madison's coffin. She stopped fighting, just hung between the security guards, sobbing, broken. They dragged her out, past the valet, past the onlookers, into the night where her BMW waited, her privileged life crumbling around her. Derek stood frozen near the entrance. Jonathan turned to him. You're suspended without pay pending a full investigation. If we find you enabled this behavior, you're done. Permanently. Derek's voice came out hoarse. I should have stopped her. I should have intervened. I was a coward. Yes, you were. Jonathan didn't soften it. How many times did this happen? How many people did you watch her abuse? Derek looked at the ground. I don't know. Maybe 20, maybe more. I told myself it wasn't my problem. I had bills, kids in college. I couldn't afford to lose this job. So you let other people lose their dignity instead. Simone's words landed like stones. Every time you stayed silent, you chose your comfort over someone else's humanity. Derek's face crumpled. Ace, I know. God, I know. Is there anything I can do? Any way to make this right? You can leave. Jonathan gestured to security. We'll be in touch about the investigation. Don't contact any staff members. Don't try to influence the process. Derek nodded, walked toward his car like a man heading to execution. His shoulders slumped. His career is in ruins. Inside the restaurant, diners whispered. Some looked ashamed. They'd watched it all happen, too. They'd done nothing. Jonathan turned to Simone. Please, come inside. The best table. Everything is complimentary. Lifetime VIP status. Whatever you need. Simone looked at the restaurant, at the place where Daniel had proposed, where she'd planned to honor his memory, the place that had destroyed that memory tonight. I need to go home, Jonathan. My daughter needs to sleep. I need to process this. Of course. Of course. Jonathan pulled out his phone. I'm calling my personal driver. He'll take you home. And Simone! His voice broke slightly. This was unacceptable. Unforgivable. I will make sure it never happens again. Not here. Not at any of our locations. I'll hold you to that. Simone adjusted Zoe, who had finally fallen asleep against her shoulder. Real change. Not just PR statements. Real change. You have my word. Martinez approached carefully. Dr. Harper, I need to file an incident report. An accurate one. Would you be willing to give a statement? Yes. Simone looked at Jennings, who stood off to the side. Pale, silent. Will it include Officer Jennings's conduct? It will include everything. Martinez's voice was firm. The illegal search. The threats. All of it. Jennings finally spoke. His voice is small. Dr. Harper, I didn't know. You didn't ask. Simone met his eyes. You saw a black woman with a baby, and you assumed I was a criminal. You threatened to take my child. Those aren't mistakes, officer. Those are choices. I was responding to a call. Following protocol. Threatening to take a baby is not protocol. Martinez cut him off. You crossed the line, multiple lines, and I'm documenting every single one. The elderly couple approached Simone. We're sending our videos to you, to the police, to the news. Everyone needs to see this. Thank you. Simone's voice was thick with emotion. Thank you for not looking away. We couldn't. The woman's eyes glistened. We have grandchildren. We kept thinking, what if someone treated them this way? What if no one spoke up? More witnesses came forward, offering videos, contact information, statements. The valet, Carlos, approached shyly. Dr. Harper, I'm so sorry. I should have come inside. I should have said something sooner. You spoke up when it mattered. Simone touched his arm gently. Thank you. A black town car pulled up. Jonathan's driver. Simone gathered her scattered belongings. Witnesses helped, picking up diapers, wipes, her wallet, her phone, treating each item with care, with respect. The respect Madison had denied her. She climbed into the car. Zoe is still sleeping, still innocent, still unaware that her mother had just changed something important. As the car pulled away, Simone looked back, at the restaurant, at the crowd. The phones are still recording. The video was already going viral. Hashtags trending, news alerts pinging. By morning, the whole world would know Madison Pierce's name, would know what she'd done, would know what happened when hate met consequences. Justice, served cold and swift. But this was just the beginning. The video hit 5 million views by midnight, 10 million by morning. Every major news outlet picked it up. Every social media platform exploded with reaction. Racist hostess assaults black doctor trended #1 nationally, then globally. By Monday morning, protesters gathered outside La Belle Étoile. Signs reading Black Excellence Matters and Racism Has Consequences lined the sidewalk. News vans blocked the street. Reporters shouted questions at anyone entering or leaving. The restaurant stayed closed. Jonathan Wright released a statement. We are conducting a comprehensive investigation into discriminatory practices across all Elysian dining locations. Dr. Simone Harper has been appointed to our corporate advisory board to oversee equity and inclusion reforms. But Simone wanted more than corporate statements. She wanted legal accountability. Her attorney filed charges within 48 hours. Against Madison Pierce, assault and battery, filing a false police report, violation of civil rights under state law. Against Officer Jennings, illegal search and seizure, abuse of authority under color of law, threatening the welfare of a minor, civil rights violations. Against Derek Carter, complicity in discrimination, failure to intervene, creating a hostile public accommodation. The district attorney reviewed the evidence. 7 videos from different angles, dozens of witness statements. Officer Martinez's official report confirming Jennings' misconduct. All 3 were formally charged within a week. The media coverage intensified. Morning shows interviewed Simone. She sat in her hospital office, Zoe on her lap, and spoke with quiet power. This isn't about me. This happens every day to people who don't have resources, who don't have cameras, who don't have a platform. Her voice was steady, clear. I'm fighting for every black mother who's been told she doesn't belong, every person of color who's been dehumanized. This has to stop. The interview went viral. 20 million views in 2 days. Civil rights organizations rallied. The NAACP issued statements. Legal advocacy groups offered support. The story became a national conversation about racism in public accommodations. Madison Pierce's trial came first. Municipal courthouse. Packed gallery. News cameras lined the hallway. Madison entered wearing a modest dress. Hair pulled back. Makeup minimal. Her expensive lawyer beside her. The prosecution presented video evidence. All 7 angles. The slap was heard clearly. Madison's words were captured perfectly. Ghetto trash. Welfare baby. Your kind. Witnesses testified. The elderly couple described what they saw. Carlos, the valet, explained Madison's pattern of discrimination. Kitchen staff detailed years of racist abuse. Madison's defense tried to paint her as stressed, overworked, having a bad day. The prosecutor destroyed it. A bad day is spilling coffee. A bad day is missing the bus. A bad day is not assaulting a customer and calling her racial slurs. That's hate. That's a choice. That's a crime. Former customers came forward. A black businessman Madison had refused service to. An Asian woman she'd mocked. A Latino family she'd turned away. The pattern was undeniable. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Madison stood as the judge read the verdict. You used your position to humiliate and harm people based on race. You filed false reports endangering an infant. You showed no remorse until you faced consequences. The judge's voice was hard. 90 days in county jail. 200 hours of community service at the Cultural Diversity Center. Mandatory counseling for racial bias. Permanent criminal record. Madison collapsed into her chair. Her lawyer caught her. She sobbed openly. Her father stood in the back, stone-faced. His connections couldn't save her now. Officer Jennings's trial followed. Same courthouse. Bigger crowd, more media. The prosecution brought devastating evidence. Body camera footage from Martinez showing everything. Audio of Jennings threatening to take Zoe. Video of the illegal search. Then came the history. 17 prior complaints of racial profiling. All swept under the rug. All ignored by his department. Officer Martinez testified as the prosecution's star witness. Jennings has a pattern. I've seen it for years. He targets people of color, uses excessive force, makes assumptions based on race. I should have reported it sooner. I didn't. That's on me. Expert witnesses explained racial profiling, constitutional rights, proper police procedure. Jennings's defense claimed he was following protocol, responding appropriately to a trespassing call. The prosecution played the video. Jennings threatening a baby, dumping baby supplies on the ground, mocking Simone's medical credentials. That's not protocol, the prosecutor said. That's tyranny. That's a man who believed his badge made him above the law. The jury deliberated 5 hours, guilty on all charges. The judge showed no mercy. You took an oath to serve and protect. Instead, you weaponized your badge against an innocent woman and child. You threatened to separate a mother from her infant. You conducted an illegal search to humiliate her. You have 17 prior incidents showing this wasn't an isolated mistake. This was who you are. He paused. Let it sink in. 6 months in county jail. Immediate termination from the police force. Loss of pension. Permanent ban from law enforcement. You will never wear a badge again. Jennings's face went blank. His career, his pension, his identity, all gone. He was led away in handcuffs, the same handcuffs he'd threatened to use on Simone. Derek Carter's case was civil, not criminal, but the consequences were real. The investigation found he'd witnessed Madison's discrimination at least 40 times over 2 years. He'd received complaints from staff, from customers, from corporate HR. He'd done nothing, filed no reports, taken no action. Elysian Dining fired him, permanently banned from their company. His professional reputation was destroyed. Then came the civil lawsuits. Simone's attorney filed against multiple parties, against Madison, Pierce personally, $200,000 for assault, emotional distress, civil rights violations. Madison would never pay at all, but the judgment would follow her forever. Against the police department, $2.5 million. The settlement included mandatory reforms, body cameras required to stay on, de-escalation training, civilian oversight board, community policing initiatives. Against Elysian Dining Collective, $1.8 million. The settlement required systemic changes across all 127 locations, mandatory anti-bias training monthly, anonymous reporting systems for discrimination, diverse hiring requirements at management levels, Dr. Harper on the corporate advisory board with real power to enforce change. The money didn't matter to Simone. She donated most of it to civil rights organizations, to legal defense funds for people who couldn't afford attorneys, to families fighting similar battles. What mattered was the change. Within 3 months, Elysian Dining had fired 8 more managers for discriminatory practices, promoted 15 employees of color to leadership positions, implemented new training protocols. The police department saw complaints of racial profiling drop 40%. Officer Martinez was promoted to sergeant, made head of bias recognition training. Madison Pierce served her jail time, worked her community service hours, took her mandated counseling. She got a job after release, minimum wage, retail. Her coworkers recognized her from the viral video. Some refused to work with her. Others treated her with the same contempt she'd shown others. She learned what it felt like to be on the receiving end. Officer Jennings served his sentence, lost everything. His wife divorced him. His kids stopped calling. He applied for security jobs. No one would hire him. The viral video followed him everywhere. Derek Carter enrolled in diversity education programs, wrote public apologies, donated to racial justice organizations. He understood that redemption wasn't forgiveness. It was just doing better, being better, even when no one was watching. The changes rippled outward. Other restaurant chains reviewed their practices. Police departments nationwide examined their training. The conversation about racism in public spaces grew louder, harder to ignore, all because one woman refused to accept hate as normal, refused to walk away, refused to let injustice win. 6 months after that night, the world looked different. Not perfect, not fixed, but changed. Real consequences, real accountability, real progress. Justice finally served. 6 months later, Simone sat in her office at Metropolitan General Hospital. Sunlight poured through the windows. Awards lined the walls. A new one read, Civic Leadership Award for Advancing Racial Justice. Zoe, now 1 year old, played with blocks on the floor. Happy, safe, unaware her mother had changed the world. Simone faced her phone camera, pressed record. People ask if I regret going to that restaurant, if I wish I'd just walked away. Her voice was calm, powerful. I couldn't walk away. Not for me, not for Zoe, not for every black mother told she doesn't belong. She leaned forward. That night wasn't about a reservation. It was about recognition, that we're human, that we deserve dignity, that we deserve justice. Behind her, photos told her story. Medical school, surgery, her wedding. Daniel's smile frozen in time. Madison Pierce saw someone beneath her. Officer Jennings thought he could intimidate me. Derek Carter thought silence would protect him. She paused. They learned hate has consequences. Zoe giggled, reaching for her shoe. Simone smiled softly, then looked back at the camera. But here's what you need to understand. I had resources, connections, platform. I made one call and everything changed. Her expression hardened. What about mothers who can't? Fathers without cameras? Teenagers facing this daily without witnesses or power? She let the question settle. This can't be about one viral video. It must be about systemic change. Her voiceover continued over images. Simone walking hospital halls, nurses greeting her, patients smiling. Life continues. Changed. That video got 50 million views. Elysian Dining reformed 127 restaurants. Police complaints dropped 40%. Madison lost her career. Jennings lost everything. Derek lost the job he protected through silence. A young black patient waved. Simone waved back. But more importantly, people started paying attention, speaking up, recording, refusing to accept hate as normal. Back in her office, holding Zoe now, safe against her chest. I didn't plan to be an activist that night. I was a mother honoring my husband's memory. But justice demands more than silence. It demands action, witnesses, voices. She looked at Zoe, touched her daughter's hair gently. Zoe will know that when someone tried to diminish her mother, the world said no. Cameras came out. Witnesses stood up. Her eyes glistened. That's the legacy I'm fighting for. Direct to camera now. Unwavering. So I'm asking you, next time you witness injustice, what will you do? Record? Speak up? Stand with someone who needs your voice? Or look away because it's easier? The weight hung heavy. If this moved you, don't just scroll. Take action. Share this so others know they're not alone. Follow for more justice stories. Comment below. Have you witnessed discrimination? What did you do? Her voice stayed strong. Every view matters. Every share says accountability matters. That we won't be silent. She stood, Zoe on her hip. Both are strong. Both proof that dignity cannot be taken. One final question. Simone's eyes locked on camera. If you were in that restaurant that night, what would you have done? Silence stretched. Really think. Would you record, speak up, or look at your plate and pretend not to see? Heavy pause. Your answer matters, because right now someone stands where I stood, hoping someone will stand with them. Her final words rang clear. Be that someone. Text appeared. Based on real accounts of discrimination. Justice is possible when we demand it. #stand up, #speak out, #justice served. Subscribe, share, comment. Follow buttons appeared. Anti-discrimination resource links scrolled. Final image. Simone and Zoe walking from the hospital into sunlight, moving forward, unbroken. The fight continued, the work remained. But hope lived, and justice, hard won and fiercely protected, prevailed.
At Black Voices Uncut, we don't polish away the pain or water down the message. We tell it like it is because the truth deserves nothing less. If today's story spoke to you, click like, join the conversation in the comments, and subscribe so you'll be here for the next Uncut Voice.
Your services are no longer required, Ms. Davis. Victor Brentwood's words slice through the boardroom as Alexandria stares at the unanimous vote tally. The Pinnacle Industries Executive Board watches with barely concealed satisfaction. Victor slides termination papers across the polished mahogany. His fingers linger, savoring the moment. Heather Mills rises, deliberately knocking Alexandria's framed achievements to the floor. Glass shatters, photos scatter. Let me help you pack, Heather says, voice dripping with false concern. Alexandria kneels, collecting the fragments while 6 white executives tower above her. Her fingers don't tremble. Her eyes remain dry. She rises with perfect posture, dignity intact. What would you do if your own executive team tried to remove you from power? Comment below. They celebrate their victory, unaware they've just handed her the perfect weapon. 2 years earlier. Alexandria Davis steps through Pinnacle Industries' gleaming lobby doors. Her tailored navy suit and confident stride draw curious glances from employees. She carries nothing but a slim leather portfolio, Stanford MBA, tech startup success, and brilliant turnaround strategy, all condensed into pristine documents. The struggling tech giant's board has reluctantly appointed her after their headhunting firm insisted she was their only chance at survival. Their stock price has plummeted 32% in 18 months. Their market share bleeds daily to more innovative competitors. Victor Brentwood meets her at the elevator, his CFO badge glinting under harsh fluorescent lights. "I'll show you around," he says, voice tight. His handshake is brief, perfunctory. His eyes never quite meet hers. "I appreciate that, Victor. I'm eager to meet the team." Alexandria's voice carries natural authority without aggression. The executive floor gleams with privilege, original artwork, ergonomic furniture, panoramic city views. Victor's tour feels mechanical, detached. He introduces key players with barely disguised reluctance. "Our COO, Heather Mills." The blonde woman's smile freezes before reaching her eyes. "Thomas Grayson, CTO." The man barely looks up from his device. "And Bradley Wilson, CMO." A quick, dismissive nod. Alexandria notices their exchanged glances, the subtle repositioning away from her as she approaches. The choreography of exclusion is familiar, practiced. Later, outside the executive bathroom, Alexandria pauses as Heather's voice carries through the door crack. "How long before the diversity hire realizes she's in over her head?" Heather asks. Bradley's laugh follows. "Victor gives her 6 months tops." Alexandria continues walking, face neutral. In her assigned office, essential files are mysteriously absent. Her computer access remains pending. The executive assistant assigned to her reports technical difficulties with alarming frequency. Alexandria handles each obstacle methodically, without complaint. She makes notes. She asks precise questions. She smiles professionally. That evening, Alexandria drives her Tesla to a secluded viewpoint overlooking the city's twinkling skyline. Pinnacle's tower stands tallest among them, its logo illuminated against the night sky. She pulls out a secure phone, dials a contact listed only as J. "Phase 1 complete," she reports. "The board took the bait. They have no idea who I really am." "Should we proceed with Phase 2, or do you want to pull the plug?" the voice asks. 3 months into Alexandria's tenure. The quarterly board meeting begins precisely at 9:00 a.m. in Pinnacle's glass-walled conference room. Alexandria stands at the podium, presenting data showing an 8% stock increase since her strategic initiatives launched. "Our customer acquisition costs have decreased by 17%, she explains, gesturing to the crisp infographic on screen. "And our retention metrics show—" "These numbers seem overly optimistic," Victor interrupts, leaning forward. His Italian suit creases perfectly as he adjusts his position. "The market fluctuations alone could explain most of this temporary uptick." Alexandria taps her tablet, bringing up comparison analytics. "These figures account for market variables. Our growth outpaces the industry average by—" "In my experience," Heather interjects, exchanging glances with Victor, "early performance spikes often precede significant corrections." Alexandria maintains her composure. "The data doesn't support that conclusion in our case. If you examine page 12 of the report—" Thomas Grayson, the CTO, clears his throat. "I'm concerned about the sustainability of these initiatives. They diverge significantly from our established practices." One by one, the executives raise perfectly coordinated objections. Alexandria counters each with precise market research and competitor analysis. The board chairman, Gerald Hoffman, watches silently, his expression thoughtful but non-committal. The meeting concludes without formal endorsement of Alexandria's strategy. Later that day, Alexandria discovers her reserved parking spot has been reassigned to a distant corner of the company lot. Her executive assistant has been transferred without notice. Her calendar alerts her to meetings she wasn't invited to attend. That evening, Alexandria represents Pinnacle at a high-profile client dinner. Potential investors circle the room, evaluating partnership opportunities. Victor introduces her with practiced insincerity. And this is Alexandria Davis, our temporary CEO. His emphasis on temporary isn't subtle. When Alexandria begins discussing growth projections with an interested investor, Victor smoothly interrupts. Let me clarify what Alexandria means. He dominates the conversation while she stands silently. One investor, Philip Chen, notices the dynamic. As the event concludes, he discreetly hands Alexandria his business card. Call me directly, he murmurs. I recognize leadership when I see it. After midnight, Alexandria meets her private financial advisor in a secured office across town. Electronic scramblers prevent surveillance. Digital locks secure the room. They're actively working against me, she explains, removing her professional mask for the first time. Good, the advisor responds, spreading confidential documents across the table. Everything is proceeding according to plan. Alexandria reviews pages showing her private equity firm's quiet acquisition of Pinnacle stock through various shell companies. The numbers tell a story of strategic patience. 6 months into Alexandria's tenure. The quarterly meeting atmosphere feels different today, tense, expectant. Executive committee members exchange knowing glances as they take their seats. Alexandria notices Victor's barely concealed smirk as he arranges documents before him. Let's begin with performance review, Gerald announces, yielding the floor to Victor immediately. Victor stands, clicking to his first slide. The projected data shows plummeting market share and customer satisfaction scores that contradict everything in Alexandria's reports. These failures occurred under Alexandria's leadership, Victor declares, voice steady with practiced concern. The numbers speak for themselves. Alexandria opens her tablet. These figures don't match our actual performance data. If we examine the... Perhaps, Gerald interrupts, his tone condescending. You should spend more time understanding our business model before questioning those who've been here for years. The room temperature seems to drop. Alexandria feels eyes watching her reaction, measuring her composure. Heather leans forward, pearl necklace catching the light. I suggest Alexandria step back from the Anderson account. My team can manage their concerns more effectively. Agreed, Thomas adds. And the product development initiative should return to my direct supervision. The technical complexities require experienced oversight. One by one, they dismantle her authority. Projects reassigned, decisions questioned, accomplishments minimized. They force her to sit through a 4-hour performance review where each department head critiques her leadership without specific examples. 6 voices take turns explaining her inadequacies while she takes notes on her areas for improvement. Alexandria notices Bradley recording parts of the meeting discreetly on his phone. Later, passing the break room, she overhears his whispered conversation. This will be perfect for when we need to justify her removal. That evening, Alexandria finds her office belongings packed in cardboard boxes. A facilities manager explains apologetically that her office has been relocated to a smaller space near the building's maintenance area. Her parking access has been revoked. An email from HR cites temporary adjustments due to leadership restructuring. Alexandria drives home in silence. Inside her minimalist apartment, she kicks off her heels and calls Jay again. They're accelerating their timeline, she says, voice calm despite everything. Good, Jay responds. So should we. Alexandria opens a secure laptop displaying Pinnacle's actual performance data. The company has grown 15% under her leadership. Customer satisfaction metrics show a 5-year high. 3 major clients have expanded their contracts, specifically requesting to work with her. She accesses a digital vault containing private ownership documents and stock purchase records. A notification appears. Another 2% of company shares acquired through her anonymous holding company. Alexandria sits alone in her downgraded office. The space smells faintly of industrial cleaner. The window overlooks the parking garage instead of the city skyline. Her desk wobbles slightly when she types. She opens her leather portfolio, removing photos of her parents, distinguished civil rights attorneys who spent their careers fighting systemic injustice. Their confident expressions stare back at her from silver frames. "I won't just walk away like they expect," she whispers to their image. Her fingers trace the edge of her father's frame. Not this time. Her secure phone vibrates against the desk. Unknown number. "Executive committee meeting happening now. You weren't invited." Alexandria accesses the building's security system through her private server. The conference room camera feed appears on her screen. Victor stands at the head of the table, gesturing emphatically. "Leadership transition should happen before the next quarter," his voice comes through clearly. "We've documented sufficient cause." Heads nod in agreement around the table. Gerald shifts uncomfortably but raises no objection. Alexandria switches screens, accessing her private server. Documents appear her history before Pinnacle revealed in confidential reports. 3 successful tech companies built and sold under different names. Net worth exceeding $2 billion. Most critically, a detailed investigation into Pinnacle spanning years. 5 years ago, Pinnacle stole intellectual property from her mentor, Dr. James Wright. They buried him in litigation until his company collapsed. His innovation became their flagship product while he lost everything. Alexandria makes a secure call to Judge William Thornton, an old family friend who witnessed her parents' legal battles. "It's worse than we suspected," she explains, voice low despite the privacy. "I've documented everything. Pattern of discrimination, financial manipulation, potential securities fraud." "Be careful," the judge warns. His voice carries the weight of experience. "People like this are dangerous when cornered." Her phone buzzes with another text, this time from Philip Chen. "Heard rumblings about executive changes at Pinnacle. Are you safe?" She considers her response carefully. "Preparing for turbulence. Do you still want to discuss that investment opportunity?" His reply comes quickly. "Absolutely. Private dinner tomorrow?" Alexandria then calls her most trusted ally, Dr. Jasmine Williams, brilliant securities attorney and longtime friend. They've navigated corporate waters together since law school. "They're moving faster than anticipated," Alexandria says. "Can you accelerate our timeline?" "We need 5% more ownership," Jasmine responds. The sound of typing punctuates her words. "I can have the paperwork ready by Friday if you're sure." "I'm sure," Alexandria confirms, glancing at her parents' photos again. "They've given me no choice." Alexandria arrives the next morning to find her company email restricted system maintenance, according to IT. Her assistant's desk sits empty, replaced by Victor's loyal employee, Diane, who smiles thinly. "I'll be supporting you during this transition period," Diane explains, emphasizing the word transition. The executive staff meeting begins at 10 o'clock. Alexandria enters the conference room to find all chairs occupied except hers, which is conspicuously absent. Victor addresses her standing. "Since you'll be transitioning soon, we thought you'd prefer to take notes." His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Others suppress chuckles. Alexandria's face betrays nothing. She calmly pulls a chair from the adjacent wall, positioning herself at the table. "I'm still CEO until the board says otherwise," she states, voice level but firm. The meeting proceeds with pointed exclusion. Questions directed to Alexandria get redirected. Her comments receive immediate challenges. When she attempts to distribute her presentation materials, Heather accidentally spills coffee across the documents. "So clumsy of me," Heather says without apology, making minimal effort to blot the spreading stain. Alexandria returns to her office to discover project files missing from her system. Emails alert her that her initiatives have been reassigned to other executives to ensure continuity. Major clients receive communications suggesting they work with other executives during this transition period. At 7, Alexandria meets Philip Chen at an exclusive restaurant downtown. They're seated in a private room with sweeping city views and guaranteed privacy. Their conversation remains carefully worded. Both understand the stakes. I represent investors who see tremendous untapped value in Pinnacle, Philip explains, sipping his water. No alcohol. This is business. The current management structure is problematic, Alexandria responds, matching his professional tone. My principals are prepared to acquire significant additional shares if certain leadership changes occur, Philip suggests, sliding a leather folder across the table. What timeline are your investors considering? Alexandria asks, not touching the folder yet. They could move very quickly under the right circumstances. His emphasis on right circumstances carries clear meaning. They exchange documents disguised as restaurant menus. Alexandria receives confirmation of a substantial stock purchase agreement. The final pieces of her strategy falling into place. Back at her apartment, Alexandria records a detailed video documenting everything she's experienced. She speaks clearly, factually, without emotional embellishment. The video uploads to a secure server with instructions for release under specific circumstances. Victor calls an emergency executive committee meeting Wednesday afternoon. The calendar invitation excludes Alexandria, but she monitors the situation through loyal employees in administrative roles. She times her entrance perfectly, 15 minutes after they've begun, when conversation has reached maximum intensity. Voices fall silent the moment she appears in the doorway. Don't stop on my account, Alexandria says, stepping inside. Her heels click purposefully across polished floors. Victor recovers first. We were just discussing Q3 projections, he claims, subtly signaling Thomas to change the presentation slide. Without the CEO? Alexandria challenges, taking the empty seat at the table's end. Heather adjusts her posture, false concern crossing her features. We didn't want to burden you with preliminary numbers. You've seemed overwhelmed lately. Alexandria notices financial documents being hastily collected. Before they disappear, she glimpses a slide titled Leadership Transition Timeline with tomorrow's date highlighted. She maintains perfect composure through the hastily reconstructed meeting. She asks precise questions. She takes detailed notes. She gives no indication she's seen what wasn't meant for her eyes. That afternoon, Alexandria's security badge stops working at the executive elevator. A security guard approaches apologetically. Sorry, Ms. Davis. System upgrades. I need to escort you to retrieve personal items before the update completes. Employees watch from behind cubicle walls as security walks Alexandria through the office. Whispers follow her. Some gazes show sympathy. Others hold morbid curiosity. Executives rarely fall so publicly. Alexandria packs essential items from her downgraded office, leaving family photos for last. As she leaves, her phone displays a message from Gerald. Please meet me tomorrow, 9 a.m., my office, confidential. Simultaneously, her stock monitoring app flashes an alert. A significant block of Pinnacle shares just changed hands on the market. Evening finds Alexandria in a secured location downtown, a private office registered to a shell corporation. Jasmine Williams waits inside, surrounded by documentation spread across multiple screens. They review evidence of discriminatory treatment, emails, meeting recordings, witness statements. Financial discrepancies fill another screen-manipulated data Victor used to undermine her. Security footage shows Bradley and Thomas entering her office after hours, accessing her computer. We've secured another 3% through our Swiss partners, Jasmine confirms, tapping her tablet to refresh the ownership chart. We're at 49% ownership. Alexandria checks Gerald's message again. Gerald wants to meet tomorrow. They're making their move. Perfect timing, Jasmine smiles, revealing the strategic brilliance that made her reputation. The final 2% purchase completes at market open. By your meeting time, you'll control the company. They review the comprehensive legal strategy prepared over months. Securities filings ready for submission, corporate bylaws highlighted with relevant sections, evidence packages organized for potential lawsuits. 9 o'clock sharp. Alexandria enters Gerald's expansive corner office. Sunlight streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating unexpected faces. Victor, Heather, Thomas, and Bradley sit arranged in a semicircle. Their expressions mix satisfaction with poorly concealed hostility. Gerald rises, avoiding direct eye contact. "Alexandria," he begins awkwardly, straightening his tie. "The executive committee has expressed serious concerns about company direction under your leadership." Victor slides a leather-bound folder across the polished table. His manicured fingernails tap once against the cover. "We're offering a generous severance package. Resign quietly and we'll provide positive references." Alexandria notices his gold cufflinks catch the light purchased, she knows, with the bonus he received after stealing her mentor's technology. "The board feels your approach isn't aligned with Pinnacle's culture," Gerald adds, emphasis revealing volumes about what culture truly means. Alexandria opens the folder, reviews its contents silently. The severance offer sits atop a stack of performance documentation. She turns pages methodically, giving nothing away in her expression. "May I ask what specific performance issues warrant my removal?" Her voice remains professional, controlled. Victor stands, presenting charts showing declining metrics. The numbers speak for themselves. His confidence stems from knowing these figures have been manipulated, a fact he believes Alexandria can't prove. Alexandria notices Heather's subtle smirk, Bradley's barely contained satisfaction. She checks her phone discreetly beneath the table. A message from Jasmine appears. "Transaction complete. 51% secured." Alexandria tucks the phone away, returning her attention to the room. "Before I respond," she says calmly, "I'd like to understand the board's official position. Has the full board voted on this?" Gerald shifts uncomfortably, glancing at Victor. "We're bringing the recommendation to vote this afternoon. This is a courtesy meeting." "I see," Alexandria responds, gathering her things with unhurried precision. "Then I'll prepare my response for the board meeting." Victor's expression hardens. "Don't make this difficult," he warns, leaning forward. "Accept the inevitable." Alexandria stands, smoothing her jacket. "I always do," she says with unexpected confidence that momentarily unsettles them. Something in her tone causes Victor to blink first. As she reaches the door, Alexandria hears Victor's voice behind her. "Have security ready. She might cause a scene." In the hallway, Alexandria calls Jasmine immediately. "Initiate Protocol 4. Have everyone in position by 2 p.m. She then calls Philip Chen, walking briskly toward the executive elevator. "It's happening today. Is your team ready?" "Absolutely," he confirms. His voice carries the quiet assurance of immense resources mobilizing. "The financial press has been discreetly alerted to watch for significant announcements from Pinnacle this afternoon." The boardroom fills for the emergency session. Executive board members take their customary seats. Several appear confused by the sudden meeting. Others exchange knowing glances, anticipating Alexandria's imminent removal. Alexandria arrives last, accompanied by two unfamiliar individuals carrying leather briefcases. She walks directly to the CEO position at the head of the table. Victor's pointed glare follows her movement. He shifts as if to object, but remains silent. Gerald calls the meeting to order with 3 sharp taps of his gavel. "We're here to discuss the executive committee's recommendation regarding leadership." Victor stands, buttoning his jacket with practiced precision. His presentation reflects careful preparation, a practiced speech about company culture and performance expectations. He avoids explicitly discriminatory language while implying Alexandria's incompetence through coded phrases and strategic pauses. "In conclusion," Victor finishes, We believe a change in leadership serves Pinnacle's best interests. The room falls silent. All eyes turn to Alexandria. Gerald clears his throat. Do you wish to respond before the vote? Alexandria rises with calm dignity. Her voice carries effortless authority. Yes, I'd like to introduce my colleagues. She gestures to the woman beside her. This is Dr. Jasmine Williams, securities attorney and chief counsel for Davis Capital Partners. Confused murmurs circulate the room. Board members exchange questioning glances. And this, Alexandria continues, indicating the distinguished man to her right, is Philip Chen, managing director of Global Investment Alliance. Alexandria signals to her colleagues. They distribute documents to each board member with precise efficiency. Before you vote, you should understand exactly who owns this company. Victor scoffs, barely glancing at the papers. What is this supposed to be? SEC filings confirming that as of 9:30 this morning, Davis Capital Partners owns 51% of Pinnacle Industries' outstanding shares, Alexandria states. Her words land with seismic impact. I am the sole owner of Davis Capital. The room falls silent. Gerald stares at the documents, color draining from his face. Alexandria continues, voice clear in the stunned silence. I've been investigating Pinnacle since you stole proprietary technology from my mentor 5 years ago, destroying his career. I built my fortune specifically to acquire this company. She activates the presentation screen, displaying actual company performance data. Under my leadership, Pinnacle has grown 15%. These are the real numbers, not the manipulated data Mr. Brentwood has been circulating. She clicks to the next slide, showing documented instances of discrimination emails, meeting recordings, witness statements. I've recorded every instance of marginalization, every excluded meeting, every undermined initiative. Alexandria turns to Gerald. As majority shareholder, I'm calling for an immediate vote to reconstitute the board. Mr. Chen represents investors who have acquired an additional 12% of shares and will vote with me. Victor stands, knocking his chair backward. This is corporate espionage. You can't. It's completely legal, Jasmine interjects, voice precise with legal authority. Every share was purchased on the open market. The SEC has been fully notified. Alexandria addresses the stunned board. I'm retaining my position as CEO. Effective immediately, Victor Brentwood, Heather Mills, Thomas Grayson, and Bradley Wilson are terminated for cause. Security enters not to remove Alexandria, but to escort the fired executives from the building. The team responds to Alexandria's nod, positioning themselves behind each named individual. Alexandria's voice remains measured despite her complete victory. Your company devices have been remotely locked. Your access credentials are revoked. You'll be escorted to collect personal belongings. Victor's face contorts with rage. You planned this from the beginning. I learned from watching you, Alexandria responds simply. As security leads the disgraced executives toward the door, Alexandria turns to the remaining board members. Those who weren't actively involved in the discrimination will have the opportunity to remain, pending a full review of your actions. This is just the beginning of Pinnacle's transformation, Alexandria announces as the disgraced executives are escorted out. The question is, who among you will be part of it? News of Alexandria's takeover dominates business headlines by morning. Financial networks interrupt regular programming for breaking coverage. CEO targeted for removal reveals she owns the company, and discrimination backfires. Davis Capital acquires Pinnacle in stealth takeover. Market analysts scramble to assess implications. Pinnacle's stock jumps 12% on opening bell as investors react to the leadership clarity and dramatic narrative. Alexandria addresses all Pinnacle employees in the company's largest conference space. Hundreds more watch via secure live stream. She stands alone at the podium, projecting strength without intimidation. You've heard rumors, she begins. Here's the truth. I came to Pinnacle because this company lost its way after stealing innovation rather than creating it. I experienced systematic discrimination from executives who judged me by appearance rather than performance. She explains her background, her acquisition strategy, and most importantly, her vision. This isn't about revenge, she clarifies, making eye contact across the room. It's about transformation, about building what Pinnacle should have been all along. The audience remains silent, processing this revelation from a CEO they thought they knew. Effective immediately, we're initiating a comprehensive audit of all departments, not to punish, but to understand. Those who perpetuated discrimination will exit. Those who stood by silently will have opportunities to demonstrate growth. Those who quietly resisted will help lead us forward. Within days, Alexandria appoints new executives with proven track records of innovation and inclusivity. Jasmine Williams becomes Chief Legal Officer. Philip Chen joins as Board Chairman. Each appointment reflects strategic vision rather than personal loyalty. Meanwhile, legal proceedings unfold on multiple fronts. Victor and his allies file lawsuits claiming wrongful termination and corporate interference. Their legal teams issue bombastic press statements about hostile takeovers and vengeful leadership. Alexandria's response comes not through press releases but through court filings. Her legal team submits documented evidence of discrimination, financial manipulation, and breach of fiduciary duty. Each allegation comes supported by meticulous evidence recordings, emails, witness statements, financial forensics. Victor's deposition becomes a turning point. Under oath, his defense crumbles when confronted with his own words. Recordings reveal explicit statements about forcing Alexandria out because of both her race and gender. She doesn't look like someone who should run this company, his voice declares on the authenticated recording. Email chains between the former executives reveal coordinated efforts to undermine Alexandria's initiatives regardless of merit. Doesn't matter if her strategy works, one message reads. She needs to fail. Internal investigation uncovers something even more damaging. The former executives had been siphoning company resources to fund a competitive startup. Alexandria's team discovers offshore accounts containing misappropriated funds. What began as discrimination charges expands to include corporate theft and securities fraud. Media scrutiny intensifies beyond the initial shock value. Business journals analyze how Alexandria managed the stealth acquisition while simultaneously running the company she was acquiring. Profile pieces highlight her previous successes under different names. Her strategic brilliance becomes a case study in patience and vision. Pinnacle itself undergoes systematic transformation. Alexandria implements new corporate governance structures, ensuring transparency and accountability at every level. She establishes a leadership development program specifically designed to identify and promote overlooked talent within the organization. Look beyond the obvious candidates, she instructs HR. Find the problem solvers who don't self-promote, the innovators who haven't had platforms for their ideas. Former employees who left due to the toxic environment receive personal calls inviting them to return. Many accept, bringing valuable institutional knowledge combined with outside perspective. Those who enabled the discrimination face appropriate consequences, while those who stood silently receive education and second chances based on their willingness to change. Quarterly financials tell their own story. Without the burden of executive sabotage, Alexandria's strategies deliver immediate results. Product development accelerates. Client retention improves. Innovation flourishes as previously silenced voices gain platforms. The Securities and Exchange Commission launches a formal investigation into Victor and his allies based on evidence Alexandria's team provides. Criminal charges become increasingly likely as financial forensics uncover years of manipulation and misappropriation. Victor's public statements grow increasingly desperate as legal pressures mount. His media appearances shift from confident dismissals to defensive accusations. His former allies begin negotiating separate deals, seeking leniency in exchange for testimony against him. Alexandria meets with her executive team 6 months after the takeover. The boardroom feels different now, energized with purpose rather than political maneuvering. The legal battles are necessary but secondary, she tells them, reviewing quarterly projections that exceed all expectations. Our primary focus remains building Pinnacle into what it always should have been. Jasmine presents litigation updates efficiently. Victor's defense is collapsing. His allies are turning against him. The SEC investigation expands weekly as they uncover new financial improprieties. And our internal transformation? Alexandria asks, turning to her newly appointed Chief People Officer. The culture audit is complete. New mentorship programs launch next week. Employee satisfaction metrics show significant improvement across all demographics. Alexandria nods, satisfied but not complacent. Good. Now let's discuss our 5-year innovation roadmap. The real challenge, Alexandria tells her new executive team, isn't punishing those who wronged us, but building something so extraordinary that their absence becomes irrelevant. 6 months after the takeover, a federal courtroom fills with journalists, industry observers, and current Pinnacle employees. Victor Brentwood sits with his diminished legal team, his once immaculate appearance showing subtle signs of strain. His custom suit hangs slightly looser. His eyes dart nervously around the room. Judge Eleanor Martinez reviews evidence documents, her expression revealing nothing as she examines exhibits detailing securities fraud, discrimination, and corporate malfeasance. Alexandria takes the witness stand, her posture perfect, her voice steady. She testifies with clinical precision about the systematic discrimination she experienced. She presents documented evidence chronologically, each excluded meeting, each undermined initiative, each manipulated report. On March 17th, I discovered financial projections had been altered before board presentation, she explains. The original data showed 15% growth under my leadership. The manipulated version showed 3% decline. Her testimony remains powerful without emotional embellishment, factual without vindictiveness. She answers questions directly, never elaborating beyond what's asked. Former employees take the stand next. A software engineer describes how Victor rejected her promotion despite recommendation from 3 directors. He said the team wasn't ready for someone like her in leadership. An accounting manager testifies about Victor instructing him to prepare 2 versions of financial reports, one accurate, one modified, to undermine Alexandria. HR records presented as evidence reveal a pattern. Talented minority employees consistently received lower performance ratings despite measurable achievements. Many eventually left or were forced out through systematic isolation. Victor's defense strategy collapses when his former allies turn against him. Heather Mills, securing a plea deal, testifies that Victor explicitly stated his intention to remove Alexandria because she doesn't look like a CEO should look. He said the board would thank him once she was gone, Heather testifies, avoiding Alexandria's gaze. He said clients would feel more comfortable with traditional leadership. Financial forensic experts present devastating evidence of Victor's embezzlement scheme. The courtroom displays remain clinical, but their implications are clear. Systematic theft disguised as legitimate business expenses. The judge reviews documentation of offshore accounts and suspicious transactions coinciding with Alexandria's strategic initiatives. Victor takes the stand in his own defense, his attorney's reluctance visible in subtle body language. His testimony begins with practiced confidence, but deteriorates under cross-examination. Did you tell Ms. Mills that the company needed traditional leadership? The prosecutor asks. That's not what I meant, Victor snaps. I meant experienced leadership. Yet Ms. Davis had successfully founded and sold 3 tech companies before joining Pinnacle, correct? Victor's composure cracks further. Companies that no one had heard of. Companies you didn't investigate because you'd already decided she wasn't qualified? Victor's testimony grows increasingly hostile. He questions Alexandria's qualifications despite her documented success. He dismisses discrimination evidence as sensitivity to normal business practices. His contempt becomes increasingly visible. Judge Martinez delivers her ruling with measured severity. The evidence presents a disturbing pattern of discrimination, financial malfeasance, and breach of fiduciary duty. Her voice carries throughout the silent courtroom. The defendants systematically undermined leadership based on prejudice rather than performance, then attempted to conceal their actions through financial manipulation. The ruling lands with seismic impact. Victor and his key allies are barred from serving as officers in any publicly traded company. Substantial financial penalties are imposed. Criminal referrals are made for the financial crimes. As Victor leaves the courthouse surrounded by reporters shouting questions, Alexandria approaches him. Television cameras capture their exchange. "You could have been part of building something remarkable," she tells him quietly. "Instead, you chose to destroy." "You didn't belong in that office," Victor responds bitterly, unable to conceal his fundamental belief even now. "That office now belongs to me," Alexandria replies calmly, "along with everything you worked for." As Victor is led away, Alexandria turns to the gathered press. Today isn't about one person's downfall. It's about changing a system that allowed this behavior to flourish. 1 year after Alexandria's takeover. Pinnacle Industries' headquarters gleams against the morning skyline, its logo redesigned to incorporate elements of growth and inclusion. Inside, the transformation extends beyond symbolic gestures to fundamental structural change. The company valuation has doubled. Industry publications feature Pinnacle's remarkable turnaround as a case study in inclusive leadership. The Davis method becomes shorthand for ethical corporate governance. Alexandria stands at the podium announcing the Pinnacle Foundation's launch. This foundation will support minority entrepreneurs and provide scholarships for underrepresented students in business and technology fields, she explains to the assembled press. "We're allocating $50 million in initial funding to break down the barriers I faced." The boardroom that once excluded Alexandria now features diverse leadership representing various backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. Quarterly reports highlight the tangible impact. Innovation metrics up 32%, employee satisfaction reaching record levels, client retention strengthened by 27%. Key performance indicators reveal a company functioning not just profitably but ethically. Whistleblower protections, compensation equity, and promotion transparency create structural accountability. Alexandria testifies before a congressional committee on corporate governance reform. She sits alone at the witness table, her presence commanding the room's attention without performance or pageantry. "What happened at Pinnacle wasn't unique," she explains to legislators. "It was simply exposed and addressed in a unique way. Most victims of workplace discrimination lack the resources to purchase controlling interest in their companies." Her testimony catalyzes proposed legislation strengthening protections against workplace discrimination and enhancing transparency in corporate leadership. The Corporate Accountability Act advances with bipartisan support, its provisions directly influenced by Alexandria's experiences and recommendations. Throughout the industry, ripple effects spread. Several major tech companies initiate independent audits of their executive practices. Board members question diversity statistics with new scrutiny. Shareholders demand accountability metrics previously dismissed as unnecessary. No one wants to be the next Pinnacle scandal, industry analysts observe, as companies scramble to demonstrate inclusive practices. Alexandria meets with a group of minority executives from across the technology sector. They gather in Pinnacle's headquarters, sharing experiences strikingly similar to what she endured. Together, they form an alliance committed to mentoring the next generation of leaders from underrepresented backgrounds. The system doesn't change through individual success stories, Alexandria tells them. It changes when we create pathways for others to follow. Harvard Business School creates a case study about Alexandria's strategy, teaching future business leaders about both the ethical and strategic failures of Pinnacle's former executives. The Davis acquisition becomes required reading in corporate ethics courses nationwide. Former antagonist Bradley Wilson completes an intensive executive rehabilitation program Alexandria established. Unlike Victor, he publicly acknowledges his complicity in the discrimination and becomes an advocate for workplace inclusion. "I failed to recognize my own biases," he admits in a widely shared interview. "I valued the wrong metrics and ignored the human cost of our executive culture." 2 years after the takeover. Alexandria stands at the window of her executive office, watching morning light transform the city skyline. Pinnacle's headquarters now anchors a thriving tech innovation district that Alexandria helped develop, bringing opportunities to previously overlooked neighborhoods. The office reflects her leadership philosophy: open, accessible, yet focused. Awards line one wall, but family photos and mentor acknowledgments occupy more prominent positions. A framed circuit board from her first startup reminds her where she began. Jasmine enters without knocking. Their professional relationship evolved to trusted friendship. She carries the latest company reports in one hand, coffee in the other. "Another record quarter," she announces, setting both on Alexandria's desk. "The new product line is exceeding projections by 18%. Alexandria turns from the window. "And the leadership incubator? 20 graduates, all placed in executive roles across the industry," Jasmine confirms with evident satisfaction. 3 at Pinnacle. The mentorship program has a waiting list of volunteers. Alexandria's office displays photos of her parents alongside news articles about Pinnacle's transformation. A framed letter from her mentor, Dr. James Wright, occupies central position. His words, "You transformed injustice into opportunity," guide her daily decisions. Gerald, the former board chairman who remained as an advisor after demonstrating genuine commitment to change, knocks at her open door. His role has evolved to ethics compliance officer, his former complacency replaced with vigilance. "The Industry Leadership Summit is ready whenever you are," he informs her. "Full attendance." Alexandria follows him to a conference room filled with executives from across the technology sector. Many are graduates of her leadership program. Others are former skeptics who now seek her guidance on transformation initiatives within their own organizations. She begins her address without preamble or self-importance. 2 years ago, I experienced what many of you have faced, the assumption that I didn't belong at the table. Rather than simply claiming my seat, I chose to rebuild the table entirely. The room listens with focused attention as Alexandria outlines the quantifiable benefits Pinnacle has realized through inclusive leadership: increased innovation, expanded market reach, improved employee retention, and record profitability. "The greatest competitive advantage in business isn't technology, capital, or market position," she concludes. "It's seeing the value in people others underestimate, including yourself." After the summit, Alexandria visits a university entrepreneurship class. Students from diverse backgrounds listen intently as she shares her journey without embellishment or dramatization. She describes challenges factually, strategies precisely, outcomes honestly. "When I was forced to gather my belongings from that executive boardroom, I made a choice," she tells them. "I chose to transform humiliation into determination, obstacles into strategy, and exclusion into purpose." A student raises her hand, asking how Alexandria maintained her composure throughout the ordeal. "I never confused their perception with my reality," Alexandria answers. "Their limited vision of who belonged in leadership said nothing about my capabilities and everything about their limitations." As Alexandria leaves campus, spring sunlight warming the walkways, she notices a young woman sitting alone on a bench. The student reviews business plans with fierce concentration, making notes with determined precision. Alexandria recognizes something familiar in her focus, the same intensity she once brought to her first startup. Alexandria pauses, then approaches the student. "That looks interesting," she says, gesturing to the business plan. The young woman looks up, momentarily startled, then recognition dawns. "Ms. Davis, I was just studying your case," she begins. Alexandria smiles, extending her hand. Tell me about your idea. She sits beside the student, continuing the cycle of mentorship and opportunity that transforms individual success into lasting change. 1 month after her university visit, Alexandria stands on stage receiving an Industry Lifetime Achievement Award. Despite being only in her 40s, her impact on corporate America has been profound enough to earn this recognition typically reserved for end-of-career achievements. True power isn't in controlling others, she says, her voice carrying through the hushed auditorium. It's in creating systems where everyone can contribute their full potential. The audience of diverse business leaders watches attentively. Many were directly mentored by Alexandria or graduated from programs she established. Others represent companies that have implemented governance reforms modeled after Pinnacle's transformation. The story of Pinnacle isn't just about one company's transformation, Alexandria continues, confidence balanced with humility. It's about reimagining what leadership looks like across an entire industry. In the weeks since her conversation with that promising student, Alexandria has expanded her influence globally. She meets with international business leaders at economic forums. She testifies before governance commissions on corporate responsibility. She launches innovation hubs in underserved communities where young entrepreneurs develop tomorrow's technologies. The question isn't whether discrimination exists in your organization, she challenges the audience. The question is whether you have the courage to recognize it and the commitment to eliminate it. After the ceremony, Alexandria returns to her office. Among the applications for Pinnacle's executive mentorship program, she finds a submission from the child of one of her former antagonists. The young applicant seeks to learn from the woman who transformed their understanding of leadership. Alexandria approves the application with a handwritten note. Our future isn't defined by the limitations of our past. She places the application in the acceptance folder, then turns to the window. The city skyline has changed since her journey began. Not just Pinnacle's tower, but the surrounding landscape of opportunity she's helped create. Her parents' photo watches from her desk as Alexandria considers how far their legacy has extended through her work. The transformation extends beyond corporate structures to the lives of individuals who now have pathways previously blocked. True victory isn't defeating those who underestimate you, Alexandria reflects. It's building something they couldn't imagine. The student she mentored at the university has joined Pinnacle's accelerator program. The former antagonists have faded to irrelevance. The system that protected them continues evolving toward accountability. Alexandria reviews next week's schedule. She'll be introducing a remarkable investment banker who was once told she was too aggressive to lead, until she founded the firm that revolutionized sustainable finance. Another story of transformation, another example of turning obstacles into opportunity. The work continues, one story at a time, one life at a time, one system at a time. Did this story resonate with you? Beat Stories shares powerful narratives of triumph, justice, and transformation every week. Hit that like button if you believe in creating opportunities for others. Subscribe to Beat Stories for more inspiring stories that challenge the status quo and celebrate strategic excellence. Join our community of changemakers who understand that the greatest stories aren't just told, they're lived. Beat Stories, where justice gets the last word.
You just witnessed the gap between power and responsibility. At Beat Stories, we close that gap, one story at a time. Subscribe and help hold systems, leaders, and gatekeepers accountable.